Welcome to our deep dive into media psychology.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to explore how media, from the shows you binge watch to the ads that follow you online, really affects you. And we're using David Giles' book, Media Psychology, as our guide.
Okay.
Buckle up, because we're about to uncover some surprising truths about how media shapes our thoughts, feelings, and even actions.
It's fascinating how much we take our interactions with media for granted, you know?
Right.
We consume it every single day, but we rarely stop to think about the psychology behind it all.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's like we're all swimming in this ocean of media, but we don't really know the currents or the creatures lurking beneath the surface.
Right.
So to start off, how does Giles actually define media psychology?
Yeah.
What exactly are we diving into here?
So, he defines it as the study of how individuals interact with media and the psychological processes involved.
Okay.
It's a relatively new field.
Oh, wow.
That brings together psychology, communication, and sociology. So think of it as a lens for understanding how media impacts our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about what's on the screen. It's about what's going on in our heads as we're consuming it.
Right.
So let's jump right into one of the most talked about topics when it comes to media. Violence.
Okay.
Does watching violent movies or playing violent video games actually make us more aggressive?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
Giles explores this debate in depth, looking at two major theories.
Okay.
The first is catharsis theory, which suggests that watching violence can actually release pent-up aggression,
Okay.
kind of like a pressure valve.
I see.
On the flip side, we have social learning theory,
Okay.
which argues that we learn by observing others.
Right.
And that includes learning aggressive behaviors from media.
Okay, so which theory does Giles think is right?
He doesn't actually pick a side.
Really?
He presents research that supports both sides of the argument, which is actually quite fascinating. Some studies have shown that exposure to violent media can lead to increased aggression, while others have found the opposite, that it can have a cathartic effect, leading to a decrease in aggressive behavior.
Wait, so the research is basically saying it could go either way.
Yeah.
That's a bit confusing. How are we supposed to make sense of that?
Well, it just highlights how complex human behavior is.
Sure.
And that media violence is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
Yeah.
Individual differences like personality, personal experiences, and even our social environment all play a role in how we respond to media violence.
So it's not as simple as saying violent media equals violent behavior.
Right.
There are all these other factors at play.
Exactly.
Can you give us a specific example from the book that really illustrates this complexity?
Absolutely. There's a study Giles mentions where researchers found that individuals who played a violent video game for a short period showed a decrease in hostility compared to those who didn't play. But here's the kicker. Those who played the same game for an extended period actually showed increased hostility.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So even the amount of time we spend engaging with violent media can influence its effects.
Exactly. It's a complex interplay of several factors.
Right.
And that's why media psychology is so important.
Yeah.
It helps us untangle these intricate relationships and understand how media truly influences us on a deeper level.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. This is making me rethink everything I thought I knew about media.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears and talk about something we're all bombarded with every day. Advertising.
Oh.
How do those clever marketers use psychology to get us to buy their products?
Well, you might be surprised to know that many of their tricks are based on well-established psychological principles.
Interesting.
For instance, think about those commercials that pair images of happy people, beautiful scenery, or exciting events with a particular product.
Yeah.
That's not just random imagery, it's called classical conditioning.
Yeah.
Advertisers are trying to associate their product with those positive feelings, hoping that those good vibes will transfer over to the brand.
You're right. I never really thought about it that way. Suddenly, those feel-good commercials feel a little more manipulative.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just associating products with positive emotions.
Okay.
Advertisers also use something called the elaboration likelihood model.
Okay.
Imagine you're watching a car commercial.
Yeah.
Are you swayed by the sleek design and catchy jingle? Or are you digging deep into the safety features and fuel efficiency?
Right.
This model suggests we process persuasive messages in two very different ways.
So there's the ooh, shiny car route.
Yeah.
And then the, Let me carefully analyze the specs route.
Exactly. Those are the two routes to persuasion.
Got it.
The peripheral route,
Okay.
which relies on those superficial cues like attractiveness or celebrity endorsements,
Sure.
and the central route, which involves thoughtful consideration of the actual information presented.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Advertisers are basically playing a mind game with us, trying to figure out which route will work best for each product and each audience. Does Giles talk about any specific ad campaigns that were particularly effective at using these psychological techniques?
There's one that stands out, a campaign for a popular soft drink.
Okay.
They didn't even mention the product's benefits or features.
Wow.
They just bombarded viewers with images of happy people, beautiful landscapes, and exciting activities,
Yeah.
all while subtly showcasing their product.
Wow.
It was a masterful example of relying on the peripheral route of persuasion.
Wow. I bet I've fallen for that tactic a million times without even realizing it. It makes you wonder how many of our purchasing decisions are actually based on careful consideration versus these subconscious associations and emotional triggers.
Right.
Have you ever noticed yourself being swayed by an ad's emotional appeal rather than the actual product information?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of these psychological principles.
Totally.
But by understanding them, we can become more aware of these tactics and make more conscious choices as consumers.
This is eye-opening. It feels like we're starting to peel back the layers of the media onion and see how it really works. But what about children? Their minds are still developing, so how does media impact them differently?
That's a crucial aspect of media psychology.
Yeah.
Children are especially vulnerable to media's influence because their cognitive abilities are still developing.
Yeah.
Giles dives into some specific concerns regarding the impact of excessive television viewing on children's language development.
So too much TV can actually hinder a child's ability to learn and use language. That's concerning. What are some of the other concerns highlighted in the book when it comes to children and media?
One major concern is the potential negative effects of excessive screen time on attention span, sleep patterns, and social skills.
Makes sense.
There's also growing concern about how the portrayal of gender roles and violence in children's media can contribute to the development of harmful stereotypes and potentially influence their behavior.
It makes you realize just how important it is to be mindful of the media our children are consuming. We often think of it as harmless entertainment.
Right.
But it's shaping their understanding of the world in ways we might not even realize.
Exactly. And this leads us to another important age group, adolescents.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
How does media impact them differently from younger children?
Adolescence is such a critical time for identity formation and navigating social relationships. What does Giles have to say about the role of media during these formative years?
He emphasizes how adolescents use media to explore romantic relationships, often relying on portrayals in movies and TV shows to understand what's considered normal or acceptable when it comes to dating and relationships.
That's risky.
And then, of course, there's social media, which plays an even more significant role in their lives.
It's almost impossible to imagine adolescence today without social media.
Right.
But it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It is.
On one hand, it allows teens to connect with peers and find support groups.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's cyberbullying, social comparison, and unrealistic beauty standards, all of which can negatively impact their self-esteem and mental well-being.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Social media offers both incredible opportunities for connection and self-expression, but it also comes with inherent risks.
Right.
Think back to your own teenage years.
Yeah.
How much pressure did you feel to fit in?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Now imagine that pressure amplified by a constant stream of perfectly filtered photos and carefully curated lives on social media.
Wow, yeah.
It's no wonder adolescents are particularly vulnerable to the negative impacts of excessive social media use.
That's such a powerful point. It's like social media takes all the normal anxieties and insecurities of adolescence and magnifies them tenfold.
Exactly. And the research backs this up.
Oh, really?
Giles discusses studies showing that adolescents who spend excessive time on social media are more likely to experience anxiety, depression, and body image issues.
It's a stark reminder that we need to be helping young people develop healthy media habits and critical thinking skills to navigate this complex digital landscape.
Absolutely.
This is all so fascinating, but it's also a bit overwhelming. It seems like media is impacting us on so many levels, from our individual behaviors to our perceptions of the world around us. Is there
Yeah.
any way to make sense of it all?
That's where media psychology comes in.
Okay.
It provides us with a framework for understanding how media influences us
Yeah.
and how we, in turn, can influence our relationship with media.
Okay.
We're not just passive recipients of messages.
Right.
We have agency in how we choose to engage with and interpret those messages.
That's empowering. It feels like we're starting to reclaim some control in this vast media landscape.
Exactly. And speaking of control,
Yeah.
let's talk about something that often feels beyond our control.
Yeah.
How media shapes our perceptions of different genders, races, and cultures.
That's a really important topic.
It is.
We know that media can perpetuate harmful stereotypes and biases.
Right.
How does Giles address this issue in the book?
He dedicates a significant portion of the book to discussing how media representations can influence our understanding of the world, for better or for worse. He highlights the importance of diversity and accurate representation in media, and discusses how underrepresentation or misrepresentation of certain groups can reinforce existing prejudices and limit opportunities for those groups.
Right.
For instance, if women are consistently portrayed in limited roles, it can reinforce societal expectations and limit their aspirations.
It's a reminder that media isn't just entertainment. It's a powerful force that shapes our beliefs, our values, and even our understanding of who we are and who we can be.
Precisely. And that's why it's so crucial to be aware of these subtle influences and to engage with media critically.
This has been an incredible discussion so far.
It has.
And it's clear that media psychology has so much to offer in terms of helping us understand ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah.
What other key takeaways from media psychology should we keep in mind as we continue our deep dive?
One of the most important takeaways is that media is neither inherently good nor bad.
Okay.
Its effects depend on a complex interplay of factors, including the content itself, the individual consuming it, and the social context surrounding that consumption.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's also crucial to be aware of our own media habits.
Oh, right.
How much time do we spend consuming media?
Yeah.
What kind of content are we drawn to?
Yeah.
And most importantly, how does that content make us feel?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think we need to explore that further.
We do.
After a short break, we'll be right back to continue our deep dive into media psychology with David Giles' book, Media Psychology.
That's such a good point. I know I've definitely fallen into the trap of mindless scrolling before, and it doesn't always leave me feeling great.
Right.
It's like we need to be more intentional about our media consumption.
Yeah.
Almost like we're curating a healthy diet for our minds.
You hit the nail on the head. Giles talks about the importance of developing media literacy skills,
Okay.
which is essentially the ability to critically analyze and evaluate media messages.
Got it.
It's about recognizing those subtle techniques we've been discussing, understanding the potential biases present, and ultimately making informed choices about what we consume.
So it's not about rejecting media altogether.
Right.
It's about being a savvy consumer.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that media has the power to inform, entertain, and inspire,
Yeah.
but it can also manipulate, mislead, and exploit.
Right.
Media literacy empowers us to harness the positive aspects of media while mitigating the negative. Okay, that makes sense. But how does media literacy actually play out in our everyday lives?
Yeah.
What does it look like to be a more discerning media consumer?
It starts with being more aware of your own media habits.
Right.
Ask yourself, what kind of content am I drawn to?
Yeah.
How much time do I spend consuming media each day? And perhaps most importantly, how does that content make me feel?
Those are great questions. I'm definitely going to be more mindful of that moving forward.
Yeah.
It's almost like we need a media detox sometimes just to reset and reevaluate our relationship with all these screens.
That's not a bad idea. Taking breaks from media can be incredibly beneficial.
Right.
It allows us to reconnect with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the refresh button on our minds.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But beyond just taking breaks,
Yeah.
what are some practical steps we can take to become more media literate?
One simple step is to diversify your media diet.
Okay.
Just like we strive for a balanced diet of nutritious foods, we should also aim for a diverse range of media sources and perspectives.
Yeah.
Don't just stick to one news channel or one type of entertainment.
Yeah.
Branch out and explore different viewpoints and genres.
Okay.
It can help broaden your understanding of the world and make you a more critical thinker.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of getting stuck in my media bubble sometimes.
Yeah.
It's easy to just consume the same types of content over and over again.
Another important step is to engage in critical thinking while you're consuming media.
Why?
Don't just passively absorb information.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge assumptions.
Got it.
Consider the source.
Right.
Who created this content and why?
Yeah.
What are their biases?
Okay.
What messages are they trying to convey? And are those messages accurate and fair?
It sounds like media literacy is really about becoming an active participant in our media consumption rather than just a passive recipient.
Exactly. And as we've seen, media psychology plays a critical role in this process. It provides us with the tools and insights we need to become more discerning consumers of media and to navigate this complex landscape effectively.
So if we're looking at the big picture here,
Mm.
what's the overall relevance of media psychology in our lives? Why should we care about this field?
Media psychology is relevant because it helps us understand ourselves better.
Okay.
It provides insights into how our minds work, how we process information, and
Yeah.
how we are influenced by the world around us.
Right.
This knowledge can empower us to make more informed choices about the media we consume and how we allow it to shape our lives.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for the media landscape.
Right.
We can start to see through the manipulation and make conscious decisions about what we allow into our minds.
Yeah.
It's not just about the media we choose.
Right.
It's about understanding the psychological processes at play as we're consuming it.
You've got it. And beyond our individual lives,
Yeah.
media psychology plays a crucial role in shaping public policy and understanding social issues.
Right.
For example, it can help us understand the impact of media on political campaigns, the spread of misinformation, and the formation of social movements.
Wow. I hadn't even thought about it this way.
Uh-huh.
It's much bigger than just our personal choices.
Right.
It's about understanding how media influences society as a whole.
Exactly.
Are you saying that media psychology is essentially for anyone who interacts with media,
It is.
which is pretty much everyone these days?
Precisely. In today's world, media literacy is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And media psychology provides us with the tools and insights we need to become more informed and discerning consumers of media.
It's almost like we need to add media psychologists to our resumes.
Right?
It feels like such a valuable skill set in this day and age.
I couldn't agree more. As technology continues to advance and media becomes even more integrated into our lives, understanding the psychological principles at play will become even more crucial.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into media psychology, what are some final thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with? What are the big takeaways from media psychology that we should all keep in mind?
One of the most crucial takeaways is that we have the power to shape our relationship with media by developing those media literacy skills we talked about and engaging in critical thinking.
Right.
We can become more conscious and discerning consumers of information.
Yeah.
Remember, media doesn't have to control us.
Right.
We can control how it influences us.
That's such an important message. It's empowering to know that we have agency in this relationship. It's not about cutting ourselves off from media entirely, but about learning to navigate it wisely and intentionally.
Exactly. It's about harnessing the power of media for good, for learning, for connecting, and for creating positive change in the world.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening. It's given me a whole new perspective on how media shapes our lives.
I'm glad.
I'm curious to hear your final thoughts. What new challenges of opportunities do you see for media psychology in the future?
With the rise of new technologies like virtual reality and artificial intelligence, media is becoming increasingly immersive and personalized.
Right.
This presents both exciting opportunities and unique challenges for understanding how these advancements will impact our psychological well-being, our relationships, and even our sense of self.
That's fascinating. We're on the verge of a whole new era of media.
We are.
And it's almost like we need media psychology more than ever to help us navigate these uncharted waters.
Absolutely. Media psychology will play a vital role in helping us understand and adapt to these rapid advancements and ensure that we're using technology in ways that enhance our lives rather than diminish them.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation, and I feel like I've gained a much deeper understanding of how media shapes our lives.
Yeah, me too.
What's one final thought-provoking takeaway you want to leave our listeners with?
As we venture further into this world of immersive and personalized media, I think the most important thing to remember is that we are not just passengers along for the ride.
I like that analogy. We're not just strapped into some virtual reality roller coaster at the mercy of whatever experiences are thrown at us.
Exactly. We have the power to choose how we engage with these new technologies, to set boundaries, and to prioritize our well-being.
So it's not about fearing the future of media. It's about approaching it with awareness and intentionality.
Precisely. And that's where media psychology can truly guide us.
Right.
It can help us anticipate the potential psychological impacts of these advancements, both positive and negative,
Yeah.
and empower us to make choices that align with our values and goals.
This has been such a fascinating exploration of media psychology. I feel like I've gained a whole new set of lenses through which to view the media I consume.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you.
And with you, our listener, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity about the power of media and the ways it shapes our lives.
Remember, you are not just a passive consumer of media.
You have the power to choose, to question, to think critically.
And to shape your own media experience.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of media psychology. We encourage you to keep exploring this field and to use this knowledge to become a more mindful and empowered media consumer.
Until next time, stay curious.